Welcome back to Raising
Hello
Hell.
from heaven to heaven. Oh my gosh, I'm all over the place today.
Oh, it's been a day for you, huh? It's
Yeah,
been a bit of a day.
don't
What's
know
been going
why.
on? Just
Listen,
energy?
I'm attributing it to the solar flares that are happening
I
in the sky at the moment. It makes sense. I can explain my whole mood based on that.
I keep saying, man, Pluto. I'm blaming Pluto
There's
on
lots to
everything this month.
blame.
I don't know how I always need a bevy in hand. And I think that that was part of the problem with my alcohol consumption was that it was I just always need to have a beverage. Yeah. Yes. Like
You just
I
made me
this is
thirsty.
this is out of control. I have my Rockstar, my LaCroix, my mushroom coffee. Um, but anyways, we're just gonna get right into it today. We're excited. I specifically said on Instagram, so I'm gonna go ahead and actually stick to my word on that. That I'm just gonna really talk about stuff that's been going on and this past year and feelings and emotions and dating and what we're learning about ourselves because there's just so much we could talk about. But I've made a little bit of an organized way for us to go through it if I could find my notes here. Um Crying. Let's just go right into let's just get right into it. Crying. Like the topic of crying and when I was younger, I actually forced myself not to cry for a year
Why?
because I thought it was weak and I was like I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to be weak. I'm going to be strong and I'm not going to cry. I'm going to muscle through it. And then you called me out this week and you were like, you have this habit of pretending like everything is okay. And you didn't say it like that, but that's the underline. And you're not the first person to say that. But what's wild to me is that in my mind, right, our perceptions of ourselves are so different than how other people perceive us. And there's multiple people perceive us different ways, right? But in my mind, I'm like, I feel like I come across as such an emotional sap on social media because I have so many people constantly checking in, like, are you okay? Because of the kind of stuff that I post. So, I feel like I come across as the opposite of someone who, acts like nothing affects me. I feel like in that sense come across as this person that's just depressed and emotional every day because of the quotes that I choose to post.
I mean, nothing is as it seems. I think that is, I forgot my microphone. I think that's the biggest thing. Nothing is as it seems. Um, Especially on social media. And I think, I don't know, I feel like people are crying out for authenticity at the moment because I think so many people are craving that in their own lives. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's hard in the beginning because you really have to take a good hard look in the mirror to find like who am I? Like I remember when I kind of started on this whole journey, I actually didn't know where to look. Like I looked in the mirror
Right.
and I was like, who is this person? I had so
Yeah.
many masks and so many layers.
Mhm.
Um, but I just knew that I wanted, like I was craving authenticity and the people that I would follow were people that would share like very authentically. Um,
Right.
but I still feel like I think more and more people are doing it at the moment. Like that's more and more becoming the norm. Or maybe it's just what I see because that's the only kind of stuff that I follow. I don't know what your experience is.
Well, I feel like there's a fine line, right? And a balance. Um, because there was the whole Facebook era where everyone is like, woe is me, and their in their Facebook captions, right? Like when we were in high school it was like, oh gosh, Glenda again talking about how her heart got broken. It was like everyone was too vulnerable, maybe not too vulnerable, but like so dramatic, like just putting their whole, like all their dirty laundry was out there. And so then I feel like for a while we went to this like be positive era of like, we're all good and we're positive and we're thinking good thoughts and we're manifesting. And now it's like, be vulnerable. It's like, wait, you just told me not to be vulnerable. So it's a dance. It's a dance
Tough. It's
between
tough.
being vulnerable, showing that you're going through stuff, but also being positive, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I just always like to look at things just sort of personally. I try not to shut any feelings out. So like today I was just having like I was just irritated today. And I think it's important to express that and to feel the feels. But
Yeah.
generally I try to maintain a mindset of where I want to go, like, what I want to be
Yeah.
feeling and a mindset of
Yeah.
gratitude because as much as stuff happens and there's difficulty and pain and sadness, there are these really beautiful, incredible moments, and I think that's what we have to hang on to. That's kind of what's got to anchor us, in the present moment, so we can weather the
Yeah. Well,
storms of chaos and bad feelings.
yeah. And I think that that was one thing that you had mentioned this week that was really helpful for me and that we were talking to one of our clients about, right? Was this allowing yourself to feel through it. And that's the power in it, right? Allowing the space to feel through it and then healing from it, right? But that's what you were talking about is it's not like a one good cry and then I'm good. Like there's ebbs and flows and you feel it and you maybe do a gratitude list. Like for me, like changing my perception, realizing maybe this is a blessing in disguise, but you allow yourself to hurt over it. Like this past situationship that I got myself into. And so, okay, so we're going to like whatever. This whole past 2 years, I have not been in a relationship, which is a really long time for me. And it's a milestone. I'm proud of that. But it's also not been like, I can't take credit. Like it's been a total God thing because I have had guys that I definitely was like, I'll marry you right now, like, and the Lord slammed those doors shut and I had to step back and be grateful, but I allowed I also had it hurt. In the most recent situationship, I'm like, this is wild. Like here I was literally crying, like I literally cried over this man who I've never met. And it just because I feel like I was mourning hope in men. Like I was so sad because I when I met him for it was only like literally a week, right? But that week he showed me kindness, he showed me attentiveness. He was a good father, so that's really important to me and I'm like there's men that are good fathers that are um could potentially be a good partner. And it made me feel like, when you're in high school and then you initially start dating and they're like paying attention to you and texting you good morning and they just care and you get this feeling of feeling the word that comes to mind is just so held. And I had forgotten what that felt like because I literally, my last three relationships, I had not felt that. I had not felt that feeling probably since high school. So then when all of the sudden he ripped the rug from under me and just quite literally ghosted me, um, I just fell to pieces. I was like, this sucks. Like again, just hope my hope in humanity is crushed. It's more than this one man. It's part of you is mourning the loss of believing that that can exist. And you have to get back up and be like, no, it does exist. It wasn't the right person. And who knows, what's going on with him and why he actually did this. And like, I wanted to go into the topic of ghosting. Like, it's just something I don't understand because I've trained myself not to operate that way. Do I want to ghost people sometimes? Absolutely. It's a lot easier. If a better option comes along, I don't want to go to option one and be like, hey, yo, like a better dude actually just showed up into my life, so I'm not going to be talking to you anymore. But I do. I do. I have the respect enough for myself because I'm like, this is going to look really bad. If I ghost someone, that's a really bad reflection on me. So if a better option comes along, and I'm in the dating world, then I end up being like going back to person number one and being like, hey, this isn't going to work out. I really appreciate your time. Period. That way I don't leave them in the dark. Like, and if guys do me dirty, I still, hey, you did this. I didn't like it. So I'm going to be removing myself from the situation now. Now, at that point, if you continue to message me, then that's on you. I don't owe you a response. But if I at least give you that I'm going to be walking away now from the situation, I'm giving you that respect. I'm giving myself that respect. I'm showing you the woman that I am, and showing myself that. Like, I don't understand why that's so difficult for people. But anyways, that was my long rant. All about crying. Started from crying.
You gotta get it out. You gotta get it out.
You
I don't
do.
know. I just like listening to you and listening to that story. I just feel like obviously we've grown up in a culture and like the Hollywood culture where like the movie culture watching movies, and I think that the idea of that unattainable love story has been glamorized. The idea of falling for emotionally unavailable people has become like an
Mhm.
on-screen ideal. Like it's the center of every single
Oh.
like romance, people falling for for emotionally unavailable people. And it's this narrative
Mhm.
that you see that, that's almost like what you begin to seek out. And that's not healthy. That's not normal. Um,
Yeah.
I think people show you in the beginning, like how available they can be. And I think sometimes we don't listen. Sometimes our messages get crossed. And I think
Mhm.
just speaking from personal experience, when I wasn't able to hear myself, like when I hadn't taken the time to do my own healing work and to know myself and to really know
Mhm.
like what were my limits, what were my boundaries, what did I like, what didn't I like? Um, I didn't know how to make any of these kind of decisions.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to take a step back from all of that and to also normalize walking away from something that is not serving you or just that you just don't like, plain and simple, that's not for you. But
Mhm.
we've become so scared to almost we've become so scared to be vulnerable that when we do put ourselves out there, this is what I was saying to you, when we do put ourselves out there and we get hurt, it's almost like the ego gets so wounded that we don't think we can survive it. But if you can just have that like thought process of like this is just my ego and I did it, it's like it's okay, it's not embarrassing, but I think it's that rejection of like I put myself out there and that person didn't want me. It's not a nice feeling. It really is a nice feeling. But
Yeah.
think about it if the shoe was on the other foot. And this is what I had to do with myself with every situation was go, okay, well, what about so and so who really liked me and expressed feelings, but I just didn't have those feelings. I can't blame myself. I didn't have the feelings. And
Yeah.
that made it easier for me. And I was like, okay, cool. I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
He's just not that into me.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of looking at it. So I was really wrestling with this idea of rejection this week, right? And I did the same thing, right? I thought about the guys that I reject. And I'm like, there's been some really good looking guys. They didn't do anything wrong. What did they do? Why did I reject them? Why did I get turned off from them? Why did I get the ick or whatever, or just lose interest? And then I went to this like um rabbit hole of there must be two types of people, right? The types of people that are emotionally available and ready to be in a relationship, and they like someone usually or attracted to someone who is also emotionally available, and they usually end up in a nice, healthy relationship, probably married with kids. And then There's the me and every guy I've ever liked of the world, um, who we really like people that don't like us. And the moment that someone likes us, well, we don't like them anymore. And you know, I have like a while ago I had this little pity party. And I was like, I just must be ugly. Like that must be it. My view of self must be incredibly inflated. And I need to humble myself, calm down a little bit, and accept that I'm like more of a four, you know? Um, but then when I really
Come
thought about
on.
this really happened. And then when I really thought about it and started like going through my list of guys, right, in my head of like, who have I rejected? And I was like, he was great looking. He was also solid, like 9, and I'm like, what on
Mm,
earth? And I realized, right, that yeah, then it was like it's me. Part of the time the problem is me because I'm seeking out these unemotionally available guys. Um and I don't know to the extent like I believe that I've come a long ways. I know that it used to very much be like that. Like when I was younger, it was like clockwork. I would like a guy, he likes me back, I don't like him anymore. So it's this endless vicious cycle, right? Like this guy a little while ago, uh he just wasn't like pursuing me well enough. And so I finally was like, bye. Immediately goes on like double time, blowing up my DMs, calling me, wanting, blah, 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 because then I wasn't available. And there was that chase. But I think that we put the stereotype on like, oh, this is how dudes are. But no, like women are doing it too. Like we're both doing it. It's an emotional, like you said, it's where you are you emotionally available, this and that. Um, and I believe that I'm in this part of the process where like that was young me. Like where I am now is like I know what I want in a partner and in a husband. And I do think that if I was to meet someone who was emotionally available, we would work through and talk through and take slow, healthy steps. My last relationship that was healthy, the reason that I believe
mm,
I never got scared and ran away, I never got turned off, was because we took it so slowly and so healthfully. um, and so I don't think that I got that, like, I didn't have an opportunity to be like, "Oh, he likes me, I'm gonna run now." Like, it was a slow, healthy development into a real, genuine friendship. And then by the time you're, like, bonded and true friends, like, you don't get turned off and run away, I don't think, but at the same time, he never wanted marriage. So and he'll tell you, that I definitely would've if he did, but I don't know. I don't get to know that. If I would have gotten spooked if he did want to marry me. I don't know. I will. So I would say I will never know, but hopefully I will eventually. But know if I'm capable of getting married. But that's something that's like it's been very difficult for me, obviously, to like say, like, I don't know who's probably no one's gonna listen to this podcast, but it is very difficult for a woman to admit, like, I have some issues with commitment. It scares me a lot. No guy is gonna be like, yeah, I want to date that one that's probably gonna get over me the moment I show that I like her. Like, what I mean? Like, it's the last thing that I want to talk about and be vulnerable about, but like, it's a very real reality. And I feel like sometimes what I do is I overcompensate and I'm like, I'm all in, balls to the wall, let's go. And then it scares them away because they're like, "She's so obsessed with me," and I'm like, "You have no idea. Like, you have no idea how hard it is for me to stay and be obsessed with someone, so, like, you should be appreciating this because" you know what I mean? They don't know. They can't see into my mind, which is why I try to also give other people the benefit of the doubt. Like, this last guy that goes to me, I'm like, "I have no idea what's going on with him. He could be scared. He could be going through his own other thing. I don't know. But I do know that we have to continue to take these steps to be actively, consciously, thoughtfully respecting ourselves and the people that we are dating or entertaining or, like, I just think it's so important. I think that that is what sets us apart, especially in this generation of dating, is to be the people that are going to, no matter what, respect both parties. Don't ghost, communicate, be kind. You know, you're like you said, you can't help it if you lose feelings, but you can absolutely help what you do about it. I can't help it when I get turned off and get spooked, but I can absolutely communicate to said person, whoever it was. If I end up getting spooked again, say I fall for a guy, he's really good looking, all of a sudden he likes me back, I get freaked. I have the ability to, as an adult person, go to him and be like, I have this thing where I get a little freaked out sometimes. Can we talk about it? I'd love to kind of work through it. Or maybe I don't want to work through it. I'm freaking out right now. I need some time, you know? But it's like giving him that respect and showing who I am as a woman and how I've grown. Like, that is my responsibility. And that is my only responsibility.
Well, I mean, with relationships, I think I've said this before, but it's a mirror, and you're gonna bring up in the other person the things that they haven't healed that they need to heal. And the same is gonna happen for you. They're gonna trigger all of that. And the fact that you
Yeah.
don't want to stay, it's something that I also struggled with. Is it's like I really so desperately wanted to be seen, but actually I have a deep fear of being seen because it's just like if you see really who I am, then I'm not the, what did I say? The person who just throws glitter and it's really pretty in the beginning because it's not
Yeah.
always pretty.
No.
And I think it's wrestling with that fear, but I think when you can really accept yourself, um, that's what kind of starts to heal that. And then the next thing that's going to start to heal that is staying where you feel uncomfortable, staying where your body tells you to run. And this can be a tricky one because one argument could be, oh, well, what if I'm staying in a toxic situation? I'm not saying stay in a toxic situation. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is if you've got a good one and you want to run, look at why. Stop, breathe. Don't run just yet. At some point, you're going to have to do the work to heal that narrative. Otherwise, you're just going to keep cycling and you're going to keep playing that over and you're going to keep running and you're only running
Hmm.
from yourself.
Yeah. That's the real truth right there. I love
That
that
is the
what you're
truth.
talking about, like movies and movie culture, and uh
Mm.
I just made a reel about this, right? I stayed up till 2 in the morning because I was watching this movie with Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway? Yeah. And some really cute young guy, about how she like falls in love with, typical story, right? She walks in the bathroom on a pop star, right? And she's like divorced, 40, and she falls in love with this young pop star with a British accent, adorable, 24-year-old. And of course, I think that the issue is
What is this movie? That sounds like exactly what I want to watch.
it's so cute. It's called The Idea. It's called The Idea of You, right? Which is
You
so
see,
good, right?
this is the problem, though. This is the problem.
Fall
Okay,
in
carry on.
love with the idea. No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I will say I had this revelation while watching this movie, that as I'm watching it, I'm like, having these thoughts of like, well, this isn't real life. This is just a movie. But then as I'm watching it, I'm like, all of these things like have happened to me. Maybe I haven't been walked in. No, I've had Miley Cyrus walk in on me in the bathroom, but that's not the point. Like, these wild, crazy things, like stories that happen in the movies where like
Mm.
he actually chases you for once, or it actually works out for once, or you end up with the pop star. Like, I literally had a time where I was with this guy in a boy band, like, and I remember like laying there and like we were cuddling, and I was like, this, it literally felt like a movie. I was literally laying there with a pop star boy band boy, and then like I went on a date with freaking Tyrell Owens, for Pete's sake. Like, those stories do exist. Like, those things do happen, like in real life. But the reality is, and that's what I kind of liked actually about this movie. Sorry, spoiler alert. She ends up having to wait 5 years before she can actually be with him. And I was like, that
Oh
now that is,
no. Why
But
did you
that's
tell me
real.
that?
I'm sorry I said spoiler.
Well, now I'm not going to watch the movie. Thank you, Chelsea.
You still have to watch it. I
Oh,
won't
that's
tell
the
you if they end
worst.
up. I won't tell you if they actually end up together or not. I won't tell you. But the point is, as I was watching this movie, I was thinking that like I have experienced these crazy wild moments. I have experienced this like passionate love that you see in the movies. Like it is real. Like those things actually exist. Um but they just don't last.
That's
That's what it
real.
is they just don't last.
No, no, no. I think there is
Yeah,
like, no, what
they
I was
never
saying
last.
is this idea of this emotionally, what? What?
I didn't say anything.
No, I was just saying
I
the
didn't say
idea of an
anything.
emotionally unavailable person who then all of a sudden has a change of
Mm,
heart. And I think
yeah,
it's given a lot of women and a lot of men the idea that like if someone is not into you, it does, you can stand on your head and do cartwheels. It's not going to change their mind. If they are not into you and they tell you they just don't
yeah,
want to be in a relationship and then go date someone else, hello, it's you. And you
yeah.
have to just own that. It's not, they're not going to come around like they do in the movies. That's what I was saying. That idea. It's like, I felt
I
that a
agree.
few times.
Yeah, I agree. I will actually say, going off of that, I'm contradicting myself, but in this movie that I was noticing last night, the one thing that I did notice was happening, and I think this happens in a lot of movies, is she really hurt him. She, like, to protect herself, he was like, "Are you ashamed of me?" And she goes, "Yes." And like, I'm sorry, but like 9 out of 10 men would not be able to handle that and would be like, "We are done. I'm never coming back to you ever again." Like, that hurts way too
Mm,
bad. Now, in reality, what did she actually mean? This is a very human thing to do. She actually meant she was ashamed of herself because she was ashamed she was dating someone younger,
exactly.
all of blah.
It's a
And we
projection.
do that. Right. And we
Yeah.
do those things. We do dumb things because we're scared. But the reality is that in real life, he would walk away and likely not come back because you hurt him so bad.
Yeah.
And maybe never see you the same again, right? What we were talking about, like once you see
Yeah.
something, you can't unsee it. Once you lose respect for someone or when someone really hurts you, there's a certain amount of damage that cannot be undone. Whereas in this movie, he's like, no, I'm just gonna go ahead and even though she tore my heart out, I'm gonna send her this piece of art and then I'm gonna show up at her house and I'm gonna
Sometimes
get
it happens.
sometimes, but like you're
Well, why
asking
do we
someone to be
keep
able to
returning
back
to painful situations? It happens.
because it's familiar,
I've done it.
usually.
Well,
I've done
exactly.
it.
I've done it. Like my best friend has done it. We keep returning
That's not
to what
healthy.
hurt us.
It's
No, it's
not.
not healthy at all. It's not healthy, but it
And in the
happens.
movies, we're like, yes, go for the one hurting you. Oh
Just
gosh,
don't
yeah,
go for the
I
one hurting you. Don't go for the one hurting you.
don't. Do not. Do
Just
not.
heal your
Okay.
heart
Yes.
and go for the
Heal
good
your
one.
heart. Just
Yeah.
go for a good one. Just go for a good one. But yeah, I will say that in the end of the day, like I've had those amazing moments. I wouldn't trade them for the world, but I also had to realize that even if I did end up married to any of them, reality would eventually hit. I have to realize that the only sustainable love, the only sustainable filling of that void is God. It's the only way. If you go into a marriage thinking that it's going to feel like rainbows and butterflies and fluffy elephants forever, like that's just not going to happen. You know, it's going to be tough. We are human. Those feelings are going to come and go. Love is a choice. So the moment that you like find your full fulfillment in the Lord, I think that is truly how you have a healthy relationship. But it, like you said, it's very countercultural because we are chasing that high, chasing that high.
Mm.
Speaking of
Put your love
counterculture,
into the Lord.
yes, ma'am. Let's
I'm
talk
telling
about
you, I
that
was
post I
thinking the
did.
other day. What?
Huh? No, no, go ahead. You were thinking what?
No, I was thinking the other day, like I had such this like profound feeling of love for Jesus, and then I was like, who's gonna, how am I gonna feel this about like a mortal? Who? Great. Now
Emotional.
it's ruined forever.
How am I going to feel this
Really?
for immortal?
Oh Lord.
No, but I agree. I agree. Like if you have solid female friends or solid male friends, a good group, and then you get married and where you're already happy, you're loving your life, and then you get married, it's just like another cool addition to your cool life. And then if they are like having a bad day or if they piss you off, it's like, okay, like I still have my cool self and my cool life and I love God. Like I'm good. Like you can't, if my happiness isn't coming, but obviously that's obvious. I feel like everybody everyone knows that
Mm.
in theory, but do they live by it? I don't know.
I am sorry, my child has just walked into my room and has decided that this was a good time to try and ask me for screen time. I just have to be real. I have no idea what you just said because I've got,
No,
please just give me screen. This is real. This is what's happening right now. I'm like, God,
real.
please
That's
give me
life
half an
is
hour.
no worries. No worries. Let's go right into talking about the post I did. Two of
Yes,
them.
let's
Two
talk
of them
about
this
that.
week that were very controversial. And I got my own blood boiling from these posts. But I know
But
your
which
blood was
one now are
boiling.
you talking about?
Okay.
There are
There
so
was two of
many.
them. There were two of them. I wish I could put it onto the screen. I wonder if I could. There's probably a way. Anyways, I'll just tell you guys what it was. So the first one says, maybe I should read it. The gist of it was, if your man doesn't let you, if your man does not let you drink, party, talk to male friends, or something else, or dress
Oh,
provocative.
asked you to remove people or something. I messaged you about that one. Hey.
No, that was a different one. Yeah, that was a different one. So there
Oh,
was two.
that
First one
triggered me
is if
good.
your
That
man.
triggered me good.
Yeah, I did. Got you going. So
Yo.
the first one was if your man does not let you drink, club, hang out with other guys, um, or dress provocatively, congratulations, he cares about you. Okay, that was the first one. The second one that triggered you was date night idea. Let's go through everyone you're following. And if your excuse is shady for why you're following one of them, boom, you're gone. I have to plug in my computer. Talk to me. Talk to me.
Well, no, I understand like why you posted it just because, it's a good topic for conversation. I mean, for people with different views, but I think you either go into a relationship trusting someone or not trusting them. Um, and I think that if you're gonna go into something like some people, just because of like their past wounds, just simply won't. Like they won't trust. It's just like not in their nature. And they kind of look for things like that. Like they want to find something. And it's confirmation bias. If you look hard enough, you're gonna I shared something about this today. If you look hard enough, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find the evidence of something.
100%.
Um,
100%.
and I just
Well,
find that very
maybe not even like
controlling. I don't
evidence.
like it.
No, I agree. I 100% agree. Funny enough, even
I
though I'm the
don't
one that
like it.
posted it. Um, I love posting this stuff because it gets people chatting. And
Chatting,
I do
chatting, chatting.
question sometimes chatting. I do question sometimes. I'm like, should I have posted that? Because I don't fully agree. But like, there's a spectrum and it's okay. It got the conversation going. So here's my thoughts on the phone one. I, similarly to you, had an ex who would do that. He would go through my phone. He had a drug problem. So he would get high and go through my phone for hours. And I was like, YOLO, like, have at it. Like, I have nothing to hide. Like, or so I thought, right? But like you said, if you want to find something, you will. So he came up with all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, what? Like, guys, that I think that what matters, the hard and the reason you don't look in someone's phone. I mean, I had like open phone privileges with my healthy ex, but we just didn't. Like, we knew we could,
Yeah.
but we just didn't because we just trusted each other. And I was like, I'm not gonna go looking for a reason to hurt myself. That's probably like I know he loves me. That's all
If
I
you're
need to know.
looking for a reason, then there's a problem. If you're looking, if you
Yeah,
want to look, then there's a
yeah,
problem. Then there's already a
a
problem.
hun- 100%. Um, so this other guy, oh, what I was saying is the point is the real truth can't be found in a phone. It's in here. You
No.
don't know what someone's intentions were. Maybe they, drove by 3rd Street on Thursday and they were driving by 3rd Street because they had the huge crush on the barista. And you will never know that because it's in their mind. Or maybe they put fire signs and heart eyes on someone's post, but it's really because they know that that person was, suicidal in high school and they really want to boost their ego and has nothing to do with liking them. Like, there are so many complexities to why we do the things we do. And the end of the day, like, for me, when I was with the guy who was like looking through my phone, like nothing, I did a bunch of questionable stuff because I was young and dumb and I was like, heart eyes, emojis, whatever. Like, I was just trying to blow up on Instagram. My heart and my eyes were only for him. Like, I was obsessed, unhealthily obsessed with this man. But I was like doing all these things. But the point is, he was just wanting to find something. Like you said, he had been through so much and created all these
Yeah.
things in his mind and was so afraid that he was looking for things. So he was able to find tons of things. And so for me, I just absolutely do not look in someone's phone because I know I'll create something in my mind. I'll be like, oh my gosh, you liked Clarissa's post 7 months ago? Wasn't that like 2 weeks before we started talking? You know what I mean? Like, just we will go wild if we do that to
Oh,
ourselves. So yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you there that I don't think it's healthy at
yeah.
all to go through someone's phone list. But I will say, maybe this isn't so healthy, but I will definitely do a follow check when I first start talking to a guy, like this most recent guy. I was like, I see you. I see you. Like, because I'm very aware and conscious now of who I follow. And I only follow guys that are genuine friends, like in our group. So we're all trying to support each other because for anyone listening, Kate and I are in a social media like group. So we all support each other. So I will comment and like and follow them. But I went through and unfollowed, like, if I I unfollowed like all of the guys unless they are like family friends, or like a friend like that we were like on a show together or whatever, and like they
Yeah.
have a kid and a family now and I'm like, yeah, you're killing it. Like, that is it. Like, that is it. So I will go through someone if I'm newly talking to this person and look, and if they're following all these babes in bikini, now I'm not stupid. I'm not just going to go see who you're following. I'm going to go check her recent posts. And if we've been talking, like this most recent guy, okay, I'm sorry. I believe that last week you told me, that I was really like wifey material and blah, 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 because now that matters. Now it matters. Because if you're talking to me like girlfriend, like we're moving in that direction, and then I go and see the girls you're following, and in the last 3 days, you liked her most recent picture, which was posted 3 days ago, then we have an issue. So I do think it's important to do your research and like, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, I will definitely check also, how are they responding to the girls in their comments? But they're not stupid. Like, they're gonna, make sure they're not responding to any girls in the comments. And if they're talking to multiple girls, right? Which means that's why you got to give them like a little test, and you comment and you see how they comment back at you. And if you're the only girl that they're talking to, so for me, if I'm talking to a guy, I have no problem. I have no problem. If he comments, I'll comment right back. Yeah, yeah, babe, hard eyes, all the things, but I won't comment on a single other guy in the comments because I only talk to one guy at a time, so it's not difficult. But if I'm talking to like 7 guys at a time and they're all commenting, the only way to solve that issue is you don't respond to any of them, which is what they do. So you have to comment on their thing and see how they respond to you versus how they respond to the other girls. And this guy, actually, the most recent one, he passed test number 1. He did. I looked at his comments and like I was the only one that commented, and one of my girlfriends went and commented on his thing to see how he'd respond to it. And I was like, And he commented really respectfully. And she actually, to be fair, just liked the post because it was very relevant to her life. But there's just so many things. So I do think it's extremely unhealthy when you're in a relationship to be going and meandering at all. But when you first start dating someone, that's like it's just like a free guide. A free guide to figuring out if they're a POS or not. Like, go yonder. Go give it a peep. This lag is real.
Oh, you're back. You went
Can you
away.
hear me?
Something happened and everything
This is
just
the
went
issue with
quiet for like
being in
10
separate.
seconds. So I don't know what the last 10 seconds. It sounded like you said a free guide and then I lost you.
Yeah, free guide. I was saying that social media is like a free guide to figure out how a person operates or is. Like, literally, I do think it's wise to go see who someone follows and how often they engage. Like, I don't go put
Yeah.
fire signs and heart eyes on any guy's posts at all. I don't even like men's posts. Like, if you go into my phone and look at recent posts, the only posts I like or comment on are the people in our social media group, male wise. Other than that, all females.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just gotta have boundaries. Like, you gotta have boundaries and respect. I think it's just as simple as that. Like, I know now because I didn't used to. I always liked to leave a door open, but it was just because I was just so terrified to actually look at myself. Um,
Yeah.
that like I just didn't want to seem unavailable, and it just not a good way to live, let me just tell you. I think actually finding Jesus changed my life. And that's going to sound crazy, but that's the one thing that really actually has changed my life and has changed that whole dynamic. Because I used to be a terrible flirt. I hate to admit that. I hate it, but I was. But I guess, hindsight is always 2020 and we can always improve. And now I'm doing that. So it's interesting to hear a perspective like yours because it's how I'm living now. I mean, look, I have guy friends who I speak to, but like the way in which I conduct myself and the way in which I speak to guys is completely different. And it felt really strange in the
Yeah.
beginning to me, but it's just made me realize that I was
Mm-hmm.
too friendly. I was too friendly.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but just, sometimes. Like, I kind of just had a thing where I just treated people the same. Like it didn't matter if you were a guy or a girl, it would kind of be the same.
And I don't
Anyway,
think
that's
that
a
that is
whole
like,
nother topic.
I don't think that that's, yeah, I don't think that that's bad. Don't be so hard on yourself either. Like, I was exactly like that. This took me like
No, I was a really
4 or
bad flirt.
5
I
years.
was a really bad flirt.
I was I was too.
gonna
Oh,
hang
I
up.
was too. I was like the actual worst. Like, I'm pretty sure
Mm.
everyone thought that they for sure were going to get with me. And they absolutely were not. But because of the way I spoke, they thought that they were. And it took me training. Like, one thing that really helped me actually was working in the
Yeah.
restaurant business. I was working in a restaurant with a bunch of dudes, and I was in a really unhealthy relationship. That's the unfortunate part. But the bright side was I realized these guys need to know that they don't have a chance or I'm going to get in huge trouble. So I learned how to, oh my gosh. So I learned how to speak to them. And none of those guys, none of them hit on me. But it took training. And now I'm like that. And like that's what I was saying in like the last episode. Now when I went into the workspace, when I was working in the corporate world this last year, one girl ended up getting fired because guys were hitting on her. And I was like, why did that not happen to me? And I asked one of the guys, and he was like, we know better. You walk around with this like don't fucking talk to me face. Like, but I trained myself to be like that. And like you said, it was very uncomfortable and unnatural because I was brought up in a home where it's like be a nice Christian girl, be nice to everybody. Like that was opposite of my nature to be assertive. And I had a thing on my phone. I still have it. It says, oh my gosh, is it still here? It's got to be. Yes. I literally had this on my phone to teach me how to interact with men. Take no shit,
What
talk
does
no
it
shit.
say?
Controlled. Huh?
What? Okay, yeah, carry on.
Okay. It says take no shit, talk no shit, controlled flirt, blank stare, cold, confident, candid, bold. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Assertive, self aware. And I would read that and I would repeat that and I learned like that you can be kind of flirty, but it has to be like, oh, that's cute. Don't you dare cross that line. You know what I mean? Like you can be
Yeah.
fun. You can be a little fun, but they have to know there's no chance. There's no chance. Don't
Mm.
even think about it. Don't even look my
Yeah.
direction. But like I'll flirt in a funny little way and like show that I have character and personality. Um, but it's like it's a constant growing process. But I definitely was like, I want to be a woman that can walk into a room with hopefully a, strong, confident, wonderful Christian man someday. And I want to be a good reflection of him. I want every other man in that room to know, like, I can't even look at her. She is with him. She is respecting him. She is a reflection of him. Like, I want to literally walk into a room and without even having to say anything, my very presence is honoring him. Like that's end goal for me.
Yeah, and that is all in your
Yeah.
actions, and that is completely possible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you said though. I mean, yeah, it takes time and you just learn. And I wouldn't have known any of this stuff if I didn't go through what I went through because I didn't realize.
Mm.
I don't know why. I had like a million people tell me, but I just didn't realize what I was implying by flirting. You know?
Well, I think, you go through what you have been through, and at least now you have that opportunity to grow from the experience. Some people never learn, some people just carry on. I also feel grateful that now, like, I've made a decision to consciously like take responsibility for my actions, for the people that I've hurt because
Yeah.
of my behavior, because I didn't want to look at it, and to choose a different
Yeah.
path. It's possible. Change is
Yeah.
possible for anyone, but you have to want it and you have to be prepared to get uncomfortable, as I'm sure we've said this before. Um, any kind of change is going to be uncomfortable in the beginning, but it's possible, and I think it just depends on how badly you want it and how committed you are
Yeah.
to to getting it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. And who you surround yourself with.
Yep.
Because, I mean, even looking back, like, I remember being at Bible camp. Oh my gosh. I remember being at church Bible camp, summer camp. And this girl, they were talking about flirting. And she knew how to flirt. And I was like, I want to know how to flirt. it was because of who I was around. If I wasn't hanging out with
Mm.
her, I may have never even picked that up. I had to consciously choose to learn to do it. And then I had to consciously choose to learn to undo it, But it was because of who I was around. That looked cool. She was getting the boys. I remember we were in fifth grade or something, and she kissed this boy and she was wearing my jeans. And I was like, ugh, I liked that boy. And she's wearing my pants, and so, you know, and so I was taught, well, how if you want boys to like you, you need to know to flirt. You need to know how to flirt. And that was not the best way. And I wish I could I want to make sure hopefully I can teach my daughter no. like yes, flirting is a part of life, whatever, but all of these other things and respecting yourself is the real way. Being a secure individual. Okay, total pivot here. Total pivot. Pet names. Pet names. Let's talk about pet names.
I don't really mind
What for
them.
you?
I don't mind them at all.
Okay, but
Like
which
I
one?
don't, it's not something that irritates me. I've done them all, man. I've had like weird names that is just like the name for one person. Like my
Yeah.
late husband and I used to call each other Pixie, but it was actually Pixie Fairy Cupcake Man and Pixie Fairy Cupcake Lady. I made them up. I'm a nicknamer. I make nicknames up. It's just what I do. My
So
boyfriend before
cute.
him was Pants. We were Pants and Pants.
Was what?
My last boyfriend,
Pants?
Pants. Yeah, Pants. We called each other Pants. And then there was Beetle. So, like, I do nicknames.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, like
You-
whatever. I feel like everybody has a specific name, and I quite like that. Like, I feel like we're really in it when we've got a name for each other, you know? I think it's cute. Are you there, Chelsea? Are you there?
I agree. I am. I am. I'm back. You cut in and out for a second, but I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Okay. Um what do you call it? I think it depends. I was actually listening to another podcast and they started talking about pet names and I was like, "Huh, I don't know how I feel about that one." But I do think it really depends because certain ones can feel condescending or just really be off-putting, or if it's too soon, it has to be earned. And other ones are the opposite. Like if a guy like Hun, I got Hun recently, and I'm just like,
Oh, I can't stand that.
really?
No, I don't like
Okay,
that.
see, see there, we found one you don't like. We found one you don't like. For me, I'm like, it gives very. He's a kind Southern gentleman type of vibe because no guy here would say that. They'd be like,
Ooh,
sup?
no,
You know what
now
I mean?
you got me. Now I like it. Now I like it. Just because you said Southern gentleman, I am in for that. I can imagine it. Yes.
You know, it's just a very rare, you will not hear an LA douchebag saying, thanks, hun. No, it's too caring. It's too,
Cute. I like it
I'm,
now.
oh man, I'm trying to think of another one. Okay. So this one guy, had DM'd me and I called him out on his age. And I was like, I can tell you're younger because of the words he was using. And he was like, how do you tell? And I was like, because you were using, and I wish I could remember what the word was, but it was like he was trying to be older by saying whatever he said. But when a guy is actually older, it's also maybe a generational thing, like sweetheart. Like someone who says sweetheart is usually a little bit older. Um, I don't know, baddie or something would be like, okay, you're definitely Gen Z. You know, there's these more old school type of kind, uh, nurturing names that show a person's age, maturity level, how kind they are. And then there's these like, okay, you must be 25. Yeah. Anyways, okay, that's a wrap. We've been talking for an hour. Yeah, it was. Oh gosh. Okay, like and subscribe below and let us know in the comments if you like them to be longer or if you're like, please stop talking so much and make the next one 15 minutes. And we can do that too. But I've enjoyed this. Yes, let us know. We are happy to answer. It's okay though. And your mood. Yes, it's Pluto. It's Pluto. Blame Pluto. You guys, thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week. Ciao. Oh no, I didn't record it. I'm just kidding.